world does not fail because it lacks ideas. It fails because it waits. Across the globe, governments announce ambitious projects: high-speed rail, smart cities, ports, dams, power grids. They commission studies, then more studies, then public consultations, then legal reviews, then political debates. Years pass, budgets inflate, momentum dies. China follows a different logic. China does not wait for perfect alignment. It builds alignment through execution. This is not about speed, it is about sequencing. In most Western systems, legitimacy comes first. Before anything moves, agreement must be secured. Consensus is treated as a prerequisite for action. Every stakeholder must be consulted. Every objection must be logged, debated, and mitigated. Every risk must be reduced before execution begins. This process feels rational, it feels ethical, it feels democratic, but it has a side effect that is rarely acknowledged. It delays motion. By the time legitimacy is achieved, conditions have changed, costs have risen, and momentum has evaporated. China reverses this order. In the Chinese system, action comes first. Legitimacy is not ignored, but it is deferred. Coordination follows motion, not debate. When China commits to a large national project, the central question is not, should we do this? That question is assumed to have already been settled at the strategic level. The operative question becomes, how fast can we mobilize? Speed is treated as a variable that can be engineered. Labor, capital, land acquisition, regulation, and logistics are aligned toward execution rather than deliberation. Consider scale. China has built over 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail. That is more than the rest of the world combined. Many of these rail corridors move from approval to full commercial operation in under 5 years. In other systems, a single line can spend a decade in environmental reviews, court challenges, funding renegotiations, and political turnover before construction even begins. The same pattern applies to energy infrastructure. Large hydroelectric dams that would require multiple generations of planning elsewhere are completed within a single planning cycle. Urbanization follows the same logic. Entire cities rise where farmland existed a decade earlier. Transportation, housing, utilities, schools, and industry are deployed in parallel rather than sequence. This is not improvisation, it is not chaos, and it is not simply authoritarian speed. It is system design. China optimizes for execution certainty. Once a decision crosses a threshold, the system minimizes friction rather than amplifying it. Western systems optimize for procedural legitimacy. They are designed to prevent mistakes, even if that means preventing action. Neither approach is morally pure. Neither is universally superior. China's model absorbs errors after the fact. The Western model tries to eliminate them in advance. The trade-off is clear. One system risks moving too fast. The other risks never moving at all. And as infrastructure becomes the bottleneck of the 21st century, speed itself becomes a form of power. The deeper lesson is not political, it is structural. Outcomes are not produced by intentions. They are produced by process order. Change the order, and you change the result. That is not magic. That is how systems behave. China separates a decision authority from execution authority. Once a project is approved at the top, the decision is considered settled. Lower levels do not reopen the question. They do not renegotiate scope. They do not debate legitimacy. Their mandate is singular: optimize implementation. This separation matters. It means local officials are judged not on caution, but on delivery, not on dissent, but on speed, coordination, and completion. There is no institutional incentive to stall. Delay is not neutral behavior. Delay is treated as failure. Speed, by contrast, is treated as competence. Advancement depends on whether targets are met, timelines are respected, and execution problems are solved in real time. Now contrast this with systems where delay is safe, where saying no carries little cost, where requesting further review is rewarded as responsibility, where avoiding risk protects careers more reliably than producing measurable results. In those systems, hesitation is rational, caution is career insurance, and momentum quietly dies without consequence. China internalizes a different assumption. Errors can be corrected during execution, but momentum, once lost, cannot be recovered. This flips the logic of planning. Instead of trying to eliminate all uncertainty up front, China treats uncertainty as unavoidable. What matters is how fast the system responds to it. So China builds first and adjusts later. Mistakes are expected. Revisions are normal. Corrections are continuous. Demolition and rebuilding are not moral failures. They are accepted costs of learning at scale. Entire housing blocks are redesigned. Railroads are modified. Industrial zones are repurposed. From a Western perspective, this looks shocking. It looks wasteful. It looks reckless. It appears to violate every principle of efficiency. But the data tells a different story. Despite rework, China delivers infrastructure faster. Despite mistakes, projects reach operational capacity sooner. Despite visible inefficiencies, the aggregate output is higher. Why? Because learning happens inside motion, not before it. Feedback is real, not hypothetical. Errors surface early, when they are still correctable. The Western model optimizes for correctness at the decision point. The Chinese model optimizes for adaptability during execution. One fears mistakes. The other assumes them. One tries to predict reality. The other collides with it and adjusts. The deeper divide is not cultural, it is epistemological. Is knowledge something you must possess before acting, or something you acquire by acting? China has chosen the second answer. And once you understand that assumption, its speed stops being mysterious. It becomes logical, not perfect, not universally transferable, but internally coherent. This is not about recklessness versus responsibility. It is about whether a system treats motion as a risk or as a resource. And systems that treat motion as a resource tend to reshape the physical world faster than those that do not. Projects that move early generate real-world feedback. They expose constraints no feasibility study can model. They reveal supply bottlenecks, coordination failures, and labor limits that only appear once motion begins. Paper risk is theoretical. Execution risk is real. Early movement forces reality into the system. It aligns institutions not through shared opinions, but through shared deadlines. Timelines synchronize behavior faster than consensus ever could. Waiting feels responsible. It feels cautious. It feels mature. But waiting has a hidden cost. It conceals risk rather than reducing it. It postpones confrontation with reality. It creates the illusion of control while uncertainty accumulates in the background. China does not postpone reality. It forces it early. This approach depends on one critical condition: centralized coordination combined with localized execution. Strategy is set at the center. Delivery is enforced at the periphery. Local officials are not rewarded for speeches, objections, or moral positioning. They are promoted based on delivery metrics. Budgets are released in sync with timelines. Labor is mobilized in parallel. Materials, permits, and logistics are aligned. Every civilization answers that question differently, and every answer comes with trade-offs. Some systems prioritize procedural purity. They maximize fairness, voice, and consent, but often at the cost of speed and coherence. Other systems prioritize outcome certainty. They accept correction after the fact in exchange for momentum in the present. China chooses outcomes, and the costs of that choice are real. Displacement happens, environmental damage occurs, some projects fail outright. But there is one cost China is structurally unwilling to pay: stagnation. The deeper lesson is not copy China. That is neither possible nor desirable. The lesson is structural. Outcomes are shaped less by values than by how authority, incentives, and feedback are arranged. Change the structure, and behavior changes automatically. Ignore structure, and values remain symbolic. Every system reveals its priorities not in what it says, but in what it is designed to make easy. And in the 21st century, the ability to turn decisions into reality may matter more than the elegance of the decision itself. Large projects fail for predictable reasons. They fail when decision-making is fragmented across too many veto points, when responsibility is diffused so widely that no one owns the outcome, when delay carries no institutional consequence. In such systems, failure is rarely dramatic. It is slow. It appears as endless review cycles, shifting requirements, and timelines that quietly slide without penalty. No single actor breaks the project. The system does. Large projects succeed under opposite conditions. They succeed when authority is clear, when someone is empowered to decide and held accountable for results. When timelines are enforced as constraints, not suggestions, they succeed when correction is cheaper than hesitation. When fixing a mistake midstream is less costly than pausing to eliminate all uncertainty in advance. This is the logic China applies. Completion is rewarded, delivery is measured. Failure to execute is visible and consequential. Caution, by itself, is not a virtue. It is only valuable if it leads to better outcomes. This leads to two diagnostic questions that apply to any system: corporate, governmental, institutional, or personal. Does your system reward completion, or does it reward caution? Does it treat time as a finite resource, or as an unlimited buffer that absorbs indecision? Most systems answer these questions implicitly, not explicitly. But the answers are revealed in outcomes, not intentions. China answers them decisively. Time is scarce, authority is concentrated, momentum is protected. That choice carries costs, and those costs are real. But ambiguity is not one of them. The broader lesson is not geopolitical, it is universal. Any system that cannot convert decisions into action will eventually be outperformed by one that can, even if the second system is messier, rougher, and less elegant. Because in the real world, progress does not wait for perfect agreement. It moves with those willing and structurally able to act, adjust, and finish. While the rest of the world continues debating, China keeps moving. And in an era defined by infrastructure, energy, and logistics, the rules of advantage have shifted. The future does not belong to those who plan the longest. It does not belong to those who write the most comprehensive frameworks or produce the most elegant feasibility studies. It belongs to those who enter reality early and adapt faster than conditions change. Speed is not recklessness here. It is a method of discovery. Motion generates information. Information enables correction. Correction compounds into capability. This is where China's advantage actually lies. Not in patience, not in perfection, and not in some unique cultural trait, but in continuous motion. While others debate alignment, China tests alignment through execution. While others optimize decisions, China optimizes feedback loops. While others wait for certainty, China manufactures it through action. That does not make the system flawless. It does not make it universally desirable. And it does not make the costs disappear. But it makes one thing unmistakable. In a world where physical systems set the ceiling for growth, the civilizations that can move first and adapt faster will shape the terrain the rest must operate within. That is not ideology. That is systems logic. And until motion itself is treated as a strategic asset, the gap will not close. Because history does not reward the most cautious planners. It rewards the systems that turn decisions into reality again and again before the debate is finished.